Hi, and welcome to Happy Fisherman Adventures.
I hope, I dream, I wish to catch a big fish, and I do it when I can. I'm a happy fisherman, and I do it when I can. I'm a happy fisherman.
In today's episode, we are fishing inside Port Phillip Bay, and the first adventure is with TB and Michael chasing King George whiting at St Leonards, but they ended up with a really nice surprise.
Well, St Leonards not always about King George whiting. So sometimes we get bycatch like pinkies, heaps of these, wait. Heaps of these.
Benjos.
This time wasn't a benja.
Let's watch the first video.
Another beautiful day, and today I had my friend Michael and we were planning to go to St Leonards. I packed up my Seaview underwater camera and we were ready to hit the ramp. At Clifton Springs, water didn't look too bad, but being east wind at St Leonards, it can be a different story. On the way there, Michael was singing the Happy Fisherman song. Going from Clifton Springs to St Leonards, it's a bit of a drive, but it is better to launch at Clifton Springs or Point Regents because they protected, so when it's east wind at St Leonards, the ramp is not that good at all. So I was setting up my cameras and we were ready for action. In the meantime, Michael got a King George whiting, but somehow he managed to hook himself as well. So I had to get the pliers and try to rip the actual hook out of his jacket. Looking around, there was nobody around us, it was only us here. We were catching fish left, right and center, but no many keepers. As you can see here, we got small pinkies that had to be throwbacks. We actually got some small King George whiting, a lot of throwbacks, only few keepers, but hey, we had fun. A lot of King George whiting that we caught, they were size, they were over 30 centimeters, but they were very skinny fish, so yeah, we had to put them back. Today, somehow, the Reddy's Paternoster rig, which is a running rig, actually worked way better than the Paternoster rig. So I was using the Paternoster, I was getting fish after fish. Michael, I don't know, he just didn't have many on his side, so I told him to come and fish on my side. Unfortunately, even that didn't help. The Paternoster rig still worked better, and this time I managed to catch a Tommy Ruff. One thing I can tell you about Tommy Ruff, they're not bad eating, but they are lollies for big squid. If you're ever gonna chase big squid at Flinders or at Point Lonsdale, use one of these Tommy Ruffs on a squid jig spike pole and have a look how effective they are. Unbelievable. In the meantime, we were catching fish after fish. We were getting whiting on, mainly on Paternoster rig. I was getting pinkies as well on Paternoster rig. And it was fish after fish, but nothing to be proud of or something to say, wow. Checking our Seaview underwater camera, all I could see is Tommy Ruff. Then a strange inquiry. So I told Michael this one was a little bit different and I know what it can be. And of course, I hooked it. Once I hooked it, it did a run. The run was quite straight run and I had the same thing before with the Gummy Shark. But few times it would be like a head shake. Not like snapper, but it was a head shake. It felt a little bit too heavy for this rod, but the drag was set right, so I gain a meter and she takes 2. Then I gain 2 meters and she takes another one. At this stage I knew there is no Gummy Shark on the other end. In the worst scenario, it could be a Port Jackson shark, but I was already leaning towards Gummy Shark. The rod I'm using here, it's a Diver Phantom rod, 1 to 3 kilo. Few times I thought it's going to break. Fortunately, the fish was holding ground in front of us, actually because the current was going out, and the angle on the rod was actually quite good, so we had no problems handling the fish. At this stage, I told Michael to take the burley bucket out and grab the net. Now the fish was under the boat, so this time the curve in the rod did worry me a little bit. Michael was ready with the net, but the fish wasn't ready, so it made another run. A few minutes later, I managed to get the fish back close to the boat, but we still didn't have a chance to net it. Then finally we had this fish close enough and we seen it's a gummy shark, so we didn't want to lose it. So I told Michael, make sure head goes first in the net. But the fish managed to do 180 and basically jumped out of the net. Then Michael had to quickly move the net out of the water so the braid doesn't rub against the net because it can break. So take two. This time we swap. I gave the rod to Michael to grab the fish in and I would be the one to net the fish. So then when we had the fish close to the net, the tide was holding the fish sideways, so I could not net it properly, so I grabbed the tail and I bring the fish straight in the boat. So here we go, we got the fish in the boat. It did take about 20 minutes, but the patience and taking time, it did pay off. Here you can see this fish took really stinganos rig with a really small hook, and the braid on my rod was only 8 pounds. As I mentioned before, the rod was Diver Phantom 1 to 3 kilo and the reel was Stratic 1000. Then we took a few photos and we were back in action. King George whiting was still around, but funny enough, at this stage Michael started getting some slimy mackerel. Also, pinkies never left the ground. Despite that we were catching pinkies and slimy mackerel on our Seaview gadget underwater, it was all Tommy Rough. It was full of them. At this stage, I packed up the Seaview, I took all my cameras down and it was time to head off home. When we got to Clifton Springs, the sky went blue. It was like a different day. It was just magnificent. The wind came down as well, so we unloaded the boat, cleaned up the boat, started cutting the fish, and of course, Chiquita was there to get her fair share of slimy mackerel. Slimy mackerel and tuna, that's her favorite. She absolutely loves it. Well, that's the end of this adventure.
As you saw, you can catch a really nice big fish on a very light gear.
That's right. Well, our next adventure is still obviously Port Phillip Bay. We're fishing in front of Port Arlington. And really we want to show you how weather can change pretty quick. It was flat as we were chasing snapper. We were at the old channel, and next moment the wind picked up. Actually, when I looked at really weather, it was from 6 kilometers to about 48. It was a straight line, just jumped. So let's watch the next adventure.
An absolute gorgeous day at Clifton Springs. We launched around 10 o'clock and we were on the way to Spall Ground. Today's fishing team, me, Mima and little Chiquita. As we were getting out, some people already were on the way back. They obviously launched early, they went trying for King George whiting, and normally by 10 o'clock they're back at the ramp. The distance between Clifton Springs and Spoil Ground is not that bad, it's only about 10 minutes drive. But what we did, we made a quick stop at the channel, just scanned a little bit around, but we couldn't see anything interesting, so we continued to our destination. From distance we saw some birds diving, so we actually end up going towards them. What we seen there, it's lots of dolphins. And yes, we've seen dolphins before, but we just love watching them and seeing how they play. And these dolphins were actually amazing. Also seeing the gannets plunging in the water, it's just a magnificent thing to watch. Then dolphins decided to come closer to the boat. And the display was amazing. They had fish in their mouth, they were playing with the fish, there was some slimy mackerel, and there was some like anchovies, some kind of fish. It was just brilliant to watch. When these two dolphins surfaced, we could see a slimy mackerel in their mouth. Well, the show did go on, we filmed a little bit, we observed quite a bit, so it was time to move. We anchored at Spoil Ground and we were hoping to get a snapper. But no matter what we tried, there was pinky after pinky and they were all undersized. Beside pinkies, Mima actually managed a few slimy mackerel, but we were actually after snapper. No matter how hard we tried, and barely changed the bite, changed the rigs, all we got is pinky and sometimes some small flatties. Nothing to keep, so at this stage we decided it's time to move, so we were on the way to Old Channel. When we got out there, I actually had quite a few things with us, but the main thing I had, there was some tuna on board that I actually put it in the burley bucket at the back and tried to attract some garfish.
As you saw, the dolphins came and they put up a really nice show for us.
Well, we tried at the Spoil Ground and all we got is just small pinkies. We were smashed by small pinkies, so we moved to Old Channel. So let's watch the next video.
At the Old Channel, in no time we were in action. We must start catching slimy mackerel pretty quick. As I was resetting Mima's rod, one of the rods just loaded up. That looked very promising, but somehow it was way too heavy. Considering that there was no shakes but just a flat movement, I knew that's either a big banjo shark or a huge stingray. My snapper rods are normally up to 10 kilo and I run obviously a Stratic or a Phantom 4000 reels with 20-pound line, but this thing felt like a bloody submarine. As it was peeling line, it started moving towards the channel, so I had to move some rods out of the way, I have to go on top of the camera, and on the end I end up passing the rod to Mima to hold on while I just change positions, I suppose. I had no more drag on the reel, so I put my hand and I tried to break the line, and finally after about 15 minutes the line broke. Anyway, it was time to recoup and start again. Then, surprise surprise, Mima gets a garfish. Well, that was promising. We actually love garfish and we do target them quite often, and yeah, we love eating garfish. Now if you look around, the water was actually beautiful. It was flat, mirror out there. But you're gonna see what happens later. In meantime, slimy mackerel went crazy. So what I did, I set up another camera just so we can get another angle of this action. There was slimy mackerel everywhere. On the sounder, it was just clouds of them. But in between them, Mima actually managed quite a few garfish. And also she manages to slap me around with the garfish. Then finally one of our snapper rods just took off, and that was very promising. Quickly I moved a few things out of the way, and by looking at the Mima's rod I knew that's a snapper. As usual, I'm not ready, so quickly I grabbed hookem net, and obviously I had to set up the pole, screw it on and get ready to land this fish. It wasn't a big fish, but definitely was a keeper. So we landed the fish, and yes, we were happy. We had dinner. In meantime, just beside us, my friend Mark, he was on one as well. Later on our video, you're gonna see that Mark actually landed a really nice fish as well. So far, we kept few slimy mackerels, we managed few garfish, and now we got a nice pinky. While I was reloading the big rods, Mima started plucking garfish left, right and center.
As you saw, we managed to get a nice snapper, quite few garfish and slimy mackerel, but then the weather turned on us.
And it turned so bad that it pushed us. The anchor didn't hold. It lifted us up. It pushed us in the channel nearly 300 meters away. And then the anchor got stuck. By the time I was packing up the rods and that, we got stuck. So I tried to run her over and, it just didn't work. So obviously on this boat, I only got chain. I didn't have rope at all. So I had a hacksaw with me and I cut up the chain. Then the very next morning, young Isaac from work, Geelong Marine Wool, came with us and he jumped. Actually, we're going to show you that next week. Free dived 11 meters and he got my anchor back.
It's very impressive that somebody can actually dive 11 meters, to me.
And we're going to show you what I did, because there was still, my chain now was halved, like 20 meters down, 20 meters on the boat. There is a link that you can put and connect the chain, so you don't have to buy a new chain. So I'm going to show you that next week as well.
Let's watch the next video.
So far we were very happy with what we got, but there were still some garfish around, so we were trying hard to get some more. As you can see on Mima's t-shirt here, the wind started blowing from nowhere. Then, before we realized, it started breaking. You can see actually the waves breaking on the side of the boat, and that was strange because it's supposed to be flat all day. But yeah, it can change. Saying that, the action was still hot. We're still getting pinkies, which were throwbacks. We're still getting heaps and heaps of slimy mackerel, left, right and center, and sometimes doubles, as you can see here. But I start to be a bit worried about what's going on. By the time we packed up the rods and the cameras, it just went crazy. You can see on this yacht, the angle of the yacht, how actually hard the wind was blowing. One thing that we didn't capture on this camera, we didn't hold the ground properly, and the wind pushed us nearly 40-50 meters away on the other side of the channel, and the anchor got stuck. Lucky I have a hacksaw on my boat, as I only got chain, I don't have rope on this anchor setup, so I had to cut it off and run. At the ramp, my friend Mark was there, and I gave him my Ocean Accessories Skyler to scale the fish, and he was actually quite impressed with this tool. This fish skyler is actually one of my favorite tools now. It saves my fingers getting stabbed or scratched or cut by the fish. It's just amazing. The concept is unreal. As you can see here, it removes the scales so easy, it's unbelievable. And my fingers are way away from trouble. In the meantime, we had a couple more friends coming up and showing us what they catch, and there was some beautiful gummies caught today as well.
And now, where is the fish?
Well, there is plenty of fish around still. And as you've seen in today's video, there is lots and lots of gummies around. Michael, that came with us, obviously, that you just saw on the boat with me, he went on St Leonards pier. I think got a big gummy off the pier. Friend of mine, Paul Melivende, he actually, you saw him on one of our previous episodes. Him and Yash went to the same spot we were fishing in first video, and he got whiting, and then got a gummy as well.
On a whiting rod.
On the whiting rod as well. So there you go. There is plenty gummy. Just keep trying. Squid everywhere. It started. It's actually, I can say it started. You just have to be patient. If you find one, just drift over that area because there'll be quite a few there. The most productive is still Mud Island, but there is heaps of squid from Clifton Springs all around to St Leonards. The boys on the other side getting a lot of pinkies. Some around Black Rock and that, they get some size, but not big. Let's say 35 to 40 centimeter, which is nice fish, but no big. Snapper is on the way out, and there is odd snapper coming from Coria Bay, and it's the channel, the actual South Channel, just at the entrance there. They're getting quite a few big fish, and they has to be in the morning.
Otherwise, tuna?
Let me talk about tuna for a second. We went Sunday, Bowen Heads. We left in the morning, 6, it was pitch black. We were already gone through under the bridge by 6 o'clock, we were out. The deal was we're going 6 o'clock, so by 9 o'clock we're in because the tide was going to be very, very low. And that's exactly what we did. We were about 9:15, passing the red buoy as you enter obviously the Bowen River. And I already touched, at that time I had few touches with the ground. And that's the entrance, at the very entrance. Half an hour later, 5 boats got stuck. So when you see that actually it's a very low tide, I always say it's high tide, it doesn't scare me so much because of the height of the bridge. But the low tide, it's actually what I don't like. And that was a proof. Do not come back on a low tide because there is no water there. It's really basically 20, 30 centimeters. It's really shallow. Again, guys, everybody that purchased our t-shirts, thank you again. We're going to actually have some hoodies very soon. And the overalls, some of those rain overalls are on the way as well. So we'll keep you informed when they are going to be available, I suppose.
Once again, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and we will see you next time.
I hope, I dream, I wish to catch a big fish. And I do it when I can. I'm a happy fisherman. And I do it when I can. I'm a happy fisherman.